I personally don't even look at the commission rate. I just don't. And when somebody wants to see a property, I send them all the properties and we go look at them, right? So sometimes you get higher ones and sometimes you get lower ones. I don't think I'm going out of my way for another 0.5% or something like that and trying to push somebody into a property.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Shawn and Matt Show. My name is Matt, that is Shawn, and welcome to our show. Shawn, how's it going today?
Good, my friend. I woke up early this morning, went for a little bike ride, loving the new house, the new location. There's a little stir up in Arlington about schools going on. There's new school lines, and the funny thing is, my wife was like, oh, I want to go to Reed Elementary School, you know? I hope we get Reed. And we bought in the McKinley Elementary School district. Thankfully, we stayed just inside that line, but there's a lot of people right now that are not so happy.
This guy is talking about biking and elementary school redistricting. If that's not the most Arlington thing ever, I don't know what is, brother. Welcome to Arlington.
Glad to be back, brother.
So you moved to the Lacey Woods Park area. Mm-hmm. What specific neighborhood is that? Because it's not Westover. Is it Terra?
It's called Larchmont.
Larchmont.
Yep.
Got it. So the reason I bring that up is because across the street from you at Lacey Woods Park and where those new homes are on the corner of Washington Boulevard and George Mason used to be the site of an old Civil War camp for Union soldiers. Now, there was no battle ever fought there. There was no lives ever lost there to record. But when the development was happening of that subdivision, if you'll call it, back in 2012, 2013 maybe, there were people out with metal detectors that I think found Civil War remnants.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
It's a little spooky, Civil War, haunted. It wasn't like a graveyard, but we're towing the line of haunted areas. So with that being said, Shawn,
Are you saying I just bought in a haunted area?
You just bought on an Indian burial ground. Surprise. No. Since it is October, in the spirit of October, the first topic that we're going to be talking about are murder homes, are homes where something horrific has happened, and one, if you would buy that house, and two, potential of resale. And there are two homes that have caught Shawn and Shawn's.
Shawn and my, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Shawn and my attention. I don't know.
Some grammar. I'm not going to say it. Someone is going to correct me. But the first house is the Silence of the Lambs house in Pennsylvania. The 1991 film, The Silence of the Lambs home, is now on sale for just under $300,000. I guess this was the home of the serial killer Buffalo Bill. Can I confide something to you?
Yes.
I've never actually seen the movie.
Oh, you've got to see this movie, man. You've got to see it.
Can we still be friends?
We can still be friends.
This is one of those movies where it's like, yeah,
I mean,
but there are some movies that are before everyone's time.
But you have to see them.
Let
me tell you a story about The Silence of the Lambs. So, 91, I was in high school. My brother was in college, and there was a band that was playing up at his college called Slaughter, right? Whatever. I wanted to see them. So my mom and my sister drove me up to the college, and they were like, all right, while you're at the concert, we're going to go see this nice little movie called Silence of the Lambs. It should be nice, right? They had no idea what it was about. They thought the title was Silence of the Lambs, so it'll be cute. They picked me up so freaking scared. And this in the college is Clarion up in the woods, So the whole ride home, they were freaked out. So yeah, you have to watch it. So another story about this house is, it's actually, do you want to pronounce it?
Well, I know how to pronounce it because you've corrected me over the years.
Yeah.
I believe it's the Yawk.
The Yawk.
I'm just going to stop there because it's just going to get worse.
So it's located on this small river called the Youghiogheny that goes into the Monongahela, right? And the Yawk, my brother actually now lives, one of my brothers lives probably about 3.5 miles from this place. And growing up, I used to go by this house all the time because we used to go to the Yacht for the rope swings and we'd go out and fishing and everything else. But now, whenever I go to my brother's house, I launch my kayak right across the street from this house.
Right across the street.
Right across the street. And it's a cool looking house. It's a nice, historic looking, big house for that area, really well kept. But it has, it has that spookiness to it. And every time I go by it, I'm like, there's the house, And another thing is to get to this house, to get from the main road of Route 51 over to through Perryopolis in this area, you've got to go through a one-lane tunnel over a one-lane bridge over the Occoganey.
I think I'm out. I
It's
think I'm
awesome.
out on this house.
So if you're ever in like going to Pittsburgh from Virginia, definitely turn off into Perryopolis and look up this address and just drive by it. It's a kind of a spooky little area, just a little small town in the middle of nowhere.
By the way, they did a listing video on the property.
Oh wow,
and
that looks great.
Gotta shout out the sisters Sold It, who put together a fantastic Eileen and Shannon with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Did a fantastic listing video of this property where they go through and they show each house, and it looks like a cool old Pennsylvania like wooden door trim house.
Yes.
With historic charm,
Yeah, it's not going to be your modern home. It's not
Right.
going to have upgrades like that. It's going to look classically, historic. And, $300,000 for that little town is a lot of money. My brother's house was like nothing. You can buy a house down there for 50 grand. So 300 grand is, but this is a big house. I'm not going to pretend I know the comps.
You think there's
but
any premium on it because of?
There's definitely a premium on
old
it.
Hannibal?
Yeah. And the thing is, I think this actually sold
It
a
did
few
sell
years
recently,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, a few years ago. So I wonder if those people are having regrets.
So do you have any qualms about buying a house that was used in a movie like this?
In a movie, no, I think it's awesome.
Okay.
I would love to buy this one. Compared to, and we'll only briefly touch on this, but this is the Chris Watts murder, where this guy in Colorado essentially murdered his wife and 2 kids, and then went on the news later that day and wished that they would return home and that he hasn't seen them. He didn't know what happened. He eventually confessed to the murder. The house was foreclosed on. It was bought by the government. It went up for auction, and no one bought the house at auction. This is a house in Frederick, Colorado. And so now the question is, would you buy this house where I can't recall if the murders actually took place in the house. Nonetheless, it's literally a murder house. Would you buy this property? Wow, I don't think I would personally. I've been through. I think we talked about this before. I've been through some where I knew there was a murder in the house. Went through the property. You could tell certain things. You could tell where they didn't clean up a lot. They just cut out carpet. If you get my drift, right? So this would be a tough one for me. There are a lot of things that people shy away from. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of superstitions out there that people won't buy, right? There's numbers that people like. There's numbers that people don't like. My number is kind of weird, right? So as my negotiation, I was like, this house number is weird. It's 1313. So 1313. So a lot of people are going to be like, I'm not buying that, it's a lucky number for me.
I think I'm out on murder homes. And the thing is,
yeah,
I don't get excited about ghosts. Like, I don't go to sleep and wake up and, oh, there's a ghost here.
Yeah.
I don't really believe in that. But at the same time, maybe I'm contradicting myself, but there's an energy. Houses have energy. And if I'm walking through this house, I bet, and there's no way to know this, but I bet if I didn't even know about this, I walked through the house about the murders, I walked through the house, saw it, and then someone told me afterwards, I'd be like, oh yeah, something definitely felt off about that.
Totally felt that. Yeah, I don't think I could do it if there's a murder or something like that in there. I'd pass personally. But it's on foreclosure, right? You could probably get a great deal. So if you can look past it, or what if you bought it and you rented it out? Right?
Yeah.
Use it as an investment. That's probably a great buy if you can get the renters in there.
Yeah.
They don't know about it, but.
So
It's not something you have to disclose either.
No, not in Virginia.
Not in Virginia.
At least. Maybe in some other jurisdictions. So I think I'm passing on that. I don't know. Maybe you're passing. But I know what Shawn is not passing on are 10 affordable lake towns in the United States. And with COVID and everyone being, kept up in their coop, everyone's looking to now flee the coop. I've heard that Hawaii has had a lot of sight unseen properties being bought and leased. And Realtor.com came out with an article of the top 10 most affordable lake towns in the United States that we're going to take a look at. Number 1 on the list is Branson, Missouri. These are from all across the United States. I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it almost looks like Table Rock Lake. I mean, you could show me a lake in Missouri, and I'm just going to assume it's the Ozarks, but apparently it is Table Rock Lake, where the median sales price to be on the lake ranges from $305 to $650 with the median of $206.
That's amazing.
I mean, what could you get for $206 in this area?
1-bedroom studio out in Springfield or something, right?
Yeah. Second city on this list, I'm going to call them cities, is East Stroudsburg. So another Pennsylvania city.
I used to live in East Stroudsburg for a little while. Back in the day when I was an accountant, I was a drummer. East Stroudsburg University, right on the Delaware River. But what lake is this?
Within the Poconos is known for its lakes, ski resorts, historic town, and water parks. Lake Naomi and Timber Trails are also great nearby options. Median sales price $187.
That's amazing. Yeah, there are a lot of lakes up there. Unfortunately, at the time when I was living up there, I didn't really go to seek out these lakes, but I would say they're smaller lakes, right? They're more like, there's Lake Wallenpaupack, which is like out a little further from that, and that's a pretty big lake, but for the most part, I think you're talking smaller lakes.
Number 3, Port Clinton, Ohio. Median list price $259.9 on the western edge of Lake Erie. That's a lake that people know. Plenty of low-price condos, single-family homes that typically start around $300,000. Shawn, East Stroudsburg $187, Port Clinton $300,000. Depending on what city you're in right now, this is not a lot of money.
Yeah, no, this is great. And the thing is, you could get to the Poconos in 4 hours. When you're thinking about buying a second property, either you've got to have a quick flight or, quick and easy flight there, or a quick ride. And I think 4 hours is probably the max for me. 4-hour drive is probably where I'm like, all right, I wish it was a little closer. So that's a great option. And I have always known that East Stroudsburg is, it's only about an hour and 20 minutes to New York City. So you think about New York City prices, all those people, a lot of people from New York are buying lake homes in the Poconos.
Number 4 on the list is Jamestown, New York. So upstate, I'm not going to call that upstate New York. Western New York makes the list. I'm just pulling it up on my 7-year-old MacBook. So Jamestown, which is somewhat close to Erie, but a little bit east of Erie, comes in with a median list price of $59,900, which just sounds absurd. I feel like they missed a decimal point there. $60,000.
That's crazy.
Gets you some sort of property on the lake that has a Native American name that I'm not going to pronounce, but I'll put up on the
Chautauqua.
Thank you, sir. I've learned to just not say
pronounce.
it. Like, if you ever meet with a client and you don't know their name, you don't want to like squeeze the name out. Just like, hey, how do you say it?
So look up. We'll put up there Yakagani and Chautauqua.
This is like a script spelling
exactly.
bee. Number 5 is Alexandria, Minnesota. Median sales price $289. This is in what they call it, the state of lakes, the lake state. I don't know what they call it, but there's over 300 lakes. So there's no shortage of lakefront homes in Douglas County. Maybe you can play a little shinny there during the
no idea.
The winter pickup hockey.
Oh yeah. But that's the thing is you got to remember that Minnesota. Oh, that looks pretty. What is that?
That's
but Minnesota's cold, man. You got to go during the summer and winter, you're not gonna like it.
Yeah, I'm all for lake towns, but
They gotta be warm.
it gotta be warm. Number 6 is Clear Lake, California. Median list price $219,900. Popular Northern California vacation town is Clear Lake, which just has this amazing photos. So, we're hearing about people escaping from California because of taxes, because of wildfires, because of sales prices in, LA County, Orange County, San Diego. But hey, maybe escape up north to Clear Lake, where the sales prices
mountains
are
in the background,
much lower. I'm gonna run through these because
just go quickly. Yeah.
we got Spirit Lake, Iowa, Mountain Home, Arkansas, Baraboo, Wisconsin. These just looks like the most picturesque lakes you can imagine, and Sand Point, Idaho. I've heard really good things about Idaho.
Beautiful, but I've never been.
Montana, kind of big sky country. Heard good things. So if you're in the market, you have some change and you want to explore some lakes, what I'll do is I'll list and link this in the description below.
Awesome.
The third topic that we're going to touch on today is buyer incentives. Now, when Shawn and I are selling properties, we're going to split this up into two different parts. We're paid a commission that is disclosed by the listing brokerage. Now, occasionally what'll happen is that listing brokerage, the property won't sell for a couple weeks, a couple months, and they'll say, hey, we're now offering an additional $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 agent bonus on top of that. Kind of a carrot stick, if you will, to get the deal across the finish line. Or what we'll also see is that a seller offer a incentive to have a contract by a certain date. So, hey, we're going to offer I just got an email, a $2,000 credit for the floors. Or, hey, it's going to be a $3,000 credit if you can get a ratified contract by this date. Shawn, what are your experiences with navigating a softer selling market by incentivizing either the buyer or the agent?
I never really saw the incentive of incentivizing an agent to sell the property. I can get it. Like, what are you going to do? Go through your database and say, hey, you know what I mean? I don't really think that that's the right way to go about it. I personally don't even look at the commission rate. I just don't. And when somebody wants to see a property, I send them all the properties and we go look at them, right? So sometimes you get higher ones and sometimes you get lower ones. I don't think I'm going out of my way for another 0.5% or something like that and trying to push somebody into a property. It's just not my way of doing it. I would rather the seller come down on their price to make it more affordable for the buyer. I think that is a better way of doing it because it's announcing it right there to all the buyers out there. So who's buying the property? It's the buyer. Who's looking at the price? How are you going to get that buyer in that property? By lowering the price.
So what I have seen, or at least heard of, friend of a friend, online forums, whatnot, is that when the selling brokerage offers, hey, $1,000 credit or $5,000 incentive, bonus incentive, the agent allegedly calls up their buyer and says, hey, I can give you a $5,000 credit at closing. So essentially, they're just moving that over to incentivize the buyer. And if a buyer thinks that the property is $5,000 overpriced, well, maybe that's a good solution. And then on the listing side, if the lister is like, hey, here's a $5,000 credit, what I've also heard, to Shawn's point, is instead of offering like $2,000 design credit, $5,000, just drop the price. Just drop the price to where it should be. Don't play these games of, hey, we'll give them a design estimate, or we'll give them this, we'll give them that. Just drop the price to a reasonable point where it'll actually sell.
And my point is, if you're going to drop the price because of floors, do the floors. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to spend a couple $1,000s on redoing the property before you put it on the market, because it's going to get more attention and more buyers in there, and probably a higher price than you would if you try to give an incentive for the property you don't want to upgrade. Upgrade the property.
So the fear there is, well, how do you know what floors the buyers are going to want? What if you do the floors and the buyer doesn't like it?
It's true, but you know what? They're definitely not going to like the carpet you put in. So you might as well try and go with something that everybody likes, right? And I think we can we're pretty good judges of what looks good because we see these things all the time. So we can guide our clients on what to do to the property. And we just did it multiple times this year.
So one last point on seller incentivizing the buyer, not necessarily the buyer's agent.
Okay.
There was an article in San Francisco where a row home, a townhouse was being sold in San Francisco, very dense, hard to park, and the seller had one of those Fiats, like a mini car, like a Fiat 500 or whatever, just a shrunk down car. And the agent asked if the seller would throw that into the sale of the home. And they said, sure, at the right price, we'll include a car. So now in this densely urban populated neighborhood where maybe your buyer pool doesn't have a car and the only way they would get a car is if it's that size, now they get a free car with the purchase. So Shawn, my question to you is, what if this listing that I have in Clarendon that is not moving, I advertise a free Tesla with the purchase of the condo. I put it out, I do like a PR, release. I put it on like ARL Now, and I say, if you buy this condo, we will give you a free Tesla, and just blow it out everywhere. Put it on YouTube pre-roll. Everyone in Arlington's going to see it. You get a free car if you buy this property.
I mean, it's great promo. So that's the thing is, how are you going to get eyes on the property? This is a great way to do it. You have to make sure the contract is done the right way because you surely can't put it in the contract. You've got to do a separate bill of sale for this. Maybe it's a separate bill of sale for zero. Keep in mind, it also has to appraise, right? So if you're going to try to up the price to maybe get this thing gone, I don't know. There's so many aspects you got to think of, but I mean, everybody's going to know that condo, right?
Yeah.
So
that's the least of my worries. I'll get an attorney to write a contract.
We'll figure it out, right? Yeah, get the attention.
It's a business write-off. It's a $40,000 advertising PR stunt. It's not ROI positive. I get the condo off the books. I make, a few $1,000s, but then everyone knows that I'm the guy that gave away the free Tesla. It's the same, reason that Taylor Swift will randomly show up at people's weddings and like sing one song and then bounce. Like, she's not getting paid for that, but when all these articles populate on Yahoo and people.com and all these other sites, she gets the eventual ROI from the magnitude of the press that she gets.
Absolutely. It's all about press, and that's the key. All right, so I guess we're buying a Tesla here.
You got to buy a condo in Clarendon. Not the worst thing in the world. No one's holding a gun to your head to buy a condo in Clarendon. What a time I'm like begging people to buy a condo in Clarendon.
It's crazy, right? And it'd probably be a couple months, 6 months down the road. We hopefully we'll talk about something different where it's a little easier.
Yeah, we're in a little bit of a gully.
We are in a gully.
Will. I've just been watching some clips of The Big Short. And they kept saying gully, so we're in a little bit of a gully. It's not going to have the same ending as The Big Short, but now is the time to buy a condo. Like, when things are crazy, when condos are on the market for the longest, everything else is indecisive, but what's the alternative? Everything comes back to normal, and then everyone else wants what you want.
Right, exactly, and this is when it takes the big guts, right? Guts to actually make the move, and right now, you can get a deal on condos in Arlington at a great interest rate, a ridiculous interest rate. So I guarantee you, we can get you a deal. I mean,
you got to risk it for the biscuit, right?
You got to risk it, man. You got to take that risk.
Well, guys, if you thought the Tesla idea was a good idea, let me know in the comment section below. And if you think I'm absolutely insane for doing this and you think it's a terrible idea, let me know in the comment section below. And for Shawn and myself, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, we'll see you then.
I did see the Tesla downstairs, by the way.
You did see it?
I saw it.
Whose?
Yours.
Mine.
Yeah, it's sitting out front.
I haven't got it yet.
Oh,
Don't tell them.
Forget it.
It's a secret.
Thanks, guys. See ya.